Today on episode 449 of the I Am Salt Lake podcast, we're joined by Anthony and Samantha Stolworthy, the owners of Wasatch Milk. We got to talk to them about how they met, how they got into the milk delivery business, and how to become a customer and receive locally sourced food straight to your door.
I was so excited to bring these two on the podcast. Such a great story and so different than really anybody that we've chatted with on this podcast. Before we get into the conversation, though, Chrissy, we should probably introduce ourselves. Let everybody know who we are. We're the hosts of the show. My name is Chris Hollifield.
And my name's Chrissy Hollifield.
If this is your first time listening to the podcast and you're asking, what am I in for? What is this podcast all about? Well, Chrissy and I, we're talking to people here in Salt Lake City, Utah. All the awesome people. We're talking to business owners, authors, tattoo artists, restaurant owners, distilleries, food truck owners, really anyone that might have a cool story to share. So hopefully you stick around if this is your first time here. Also, I want to mention, years ago we had a voicemail line. I don't think we've ever had it since you've been on the show, Chrissy.
A little bit. It's kind of been off and on.
Yeah, anyway, I want to get it going again because I would love to hear from everybody. So I established a new voicemail number. It's 801-613-1592. Again, it's 801-613-1592. Text or call with your thoughts about this episode or any episode of I Am Salt Lake podcast that you've listened to. We would love to hear from you.
You know, thoughts, feelings, violent reactions.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, hey, so Lucy, we have a little 3-year-old now.
Oh my gosh. She turned into like a 20-year-old overnight.
Yeah, we no longer have a 2-year-old. We have a 20-year-old. But so Lucy turned 3 years old this past Thursday.
She was actually like super cool. I thought maybe she would get a little bit too excited. You know how kids get like too excited and you can never calm them down and they want to have a birthday every day? She didn't do that. It was so impressive. But
it was cool. She got excited with all the balloons and decorations and all of that and all the fiestas. And,
it was so fun.
Festivities, I guess.
Festivities. The kids just had a party. So, yeah. It was great. Hey guys, we know you know that it's really important to support local companies, especially right now. So lucky for you, we have a list of awesome local businesses at supportsaltlake.com. These guys are awesome businesses who support our podcast, and we love them. We have some great supporters, including Hugo Coffee Roasters, Elevation Chiropractic, Woodland Advisors, and so many more. The entire list of supporters is at supportsaltlake.com. Go check it out, and maybe there's a company that you need to contact and get in touch with, and we're happy to set you up.
All right, here's that conversation that we had with Anthony and Samantha from Wasatch Milk. What a great couple. What a great story. I'm excited to play that here for you guys. So thank you so much for listening. Enjoy the conversation. You guys, where did the both of you guys grow up? Did you grow up here in Utah, or where's home for you both?
I actually grew up in Idaho Falls area. So I went to a little school there in a town called Shelley, population about 3,500. And we had always grown up having milk delivered by Reed's Dairy from Idaho Falls, which is about 7 miles north of there. And just always had fresh milk delivered, bread, eggs, and never really knew Reed's Dairy or the owner, Alan Reed, personally. But I went over to Boise to go to Boise State University, and school's expensive. So I needed a bit of a summer job. So I got thinking about brainstorming things to do, selling ice cream, selling snow cones, getting a job somewhere. And I've always liked working for myself. So I got the idea one day to start a milk delivery route in Boise. So I threw out some postcards in the mail, little cow-colored postcards to some nice areas in Boise, and said, hey, you guys interested in getting milk delivery? And the response I got was phenomenal. So I had a bunch of customers that wanted milk delivery, but I had no milk to deliver. So I started thinking about it. I thought about Reed's Dairy, how they produced great milk. Went down and met with Alan Reed and talked to him for the first time, the owner of Reed's Dairy. And he said he'd love to sell me milk. So the next big logistical process was moving milk 250 miles each week, each way. So went and bought a truck and started just delivering, and started with 40 customers in Boise, probably like 2004. And by the time I sold the Boise Milk, the company, to Alan Reed in 2016, we had about 2,500 weekly customers.
Wow.
So that's kind of my origins of how I got in this business.
So 2004, you saw a need for milk delivery. I mean, it seems, when was milk delivery really popular? Was that like the 50s? Was that the 50s that it was like a really prominent?
50s and 60s?
Yeah. It definitely went away. It was really popular back before refrigeration was a thing. because you got to keep your milk cold. So they have to deliver it on a regular basis, or else, your milk will go bad after 2 or 3 days. So 1950s, 1960s, I mean, there's companies that have always survived since then. For example, Reed's Dairy in Idle Falls, it's a small town. Idle Falls only has, I want to say 60, 70,000 people in the whole area. But for example, Reed's Dairy just made such a high quality milk, high quality cheese, high quality products that people appreciated the convenience and the value of home delivery up there. So he's been going every week solid since the 1960s.
I mean, Winder Dairy was in the valley for 100 years too.
Yeah, Winder Dairy. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it's been in Salt Lake up until recently.
So is Winder Dairy still around? Are they still around or no?
They are still around in the stores. They sell their milk in the stores, but they shut down all their home delivery routes.
Okay, so that's what I was wondering if you were kind of competing with that at all. I didn't want to, I didn't know. I was like, well, no, I don't want to.
No, not in the home delivery market. I've always kind of liked Salt Lake. I mean, living in Idle Falls, we'd come down here, not every weekend, but at least once a month for a weekend. It was kind of like, let's go to Lagoon, let's go shopping. They got some big city happenings down there, so we'd head down this way. So I've always had an affinity for the Salt Lake Valley. And it was just a coincidence. I mean, I can get into the details of how I actually got here.
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear how it happened.
Yeah. So why don't we let Samantha, where are you from, Samantha? Let's talk.
Where's Samantha from?
Oh, she's here too. You're so patient.
I'm the least interesting person in this equation. No. I did not come from a milk background whatsoever. I'm actually originally from Southern California, and milk wasn't even in my purview until I met this guy.
But you have some amazing background.
Yeah, I've kind of been with a floundering jack of all trades, so to speak. I grew up in Southern California and in Arizona. Went to school in Arizona for a time and got the bulk of my very extenuous educational start. And I basically started out in my first career, I'm going to call it my first career, as a chef, specifically a pastry chef, for about 10 years, at which point I kind of had that chef burnout. And my best agricultural experience was probably the time I lived in Africa working for the Peace Corps. I worked with a lot of farmers there.
But no big deal. I mean, everybody does that, right? That's so cool. Everybody just moves to Africa to work with people in the middle of nowhere. That's just what happens. But yeah, then after that I ended up back in Washington State in Spokane, finishing up my master's degree when I met him, because he was just coming out of Boise and he was starting up in the Spokane area, and we just kind of stumbled upon each other.
Yep. 1.5 years later, we're married.
Now we're married.
Yep. And she's a co-owner of a milk delivery business, which is every child's dream growing up, right?
Yeah, that was definitely my fourth career coming, I guess.
It's actually so cool, though. It's like, who thinks that they're going to grow up and do that? That's awesome,
Where are you from in California, Samantha?
Los Angeles.
Okay.
Southern Los Angeles area.
Okay, because I grew up in Ventura, so that's when my ears perk up when I hear a Southern California person. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're from my old stomping grounds. So
I have some good friends that live in Ventura and around the Ventura County area.
Okay,
right on.
So what made you decide to bring this business to Salt Lake City then from Boise? Or are you still in Boise? Are you in both locations, or is it just in Salt Lake City area now?
No. I actually sold the Boise location to Reed's Dairy about 3 or 4 years ago. They're in Idle Falls, and they were looking to expand. And I was kind of getting a little. I love Boise, but I was getting a little, I don't know, burned out for a little bit. So it happened to work out. I did the opposite of what every other dairy farmer does. Every dairy farmer I know, they have the cows, then they get the bottling plant, and then they start home delivery. I actually went the opposite way. I started the home delivery, and then I bought a bottling plant. And actually, I've never owned cows. It's one thing I do want to do one day, is own cows. But I mean, for the last few years when Winder was still going, I thought, there's an opportunity for some competition. I mean, competition breeds innovation. I looked at some of the things that Winder was doing, and I thought, I would do things a little different. They've always had great products, but we don't have any contracts or commitments. Our prices, anybody that's had Winder delivered in the past to their homes will notice our prices are quite a substantial amount lower. But the reason how I actually got to Salt Lake is I was actually back in Pennsylvania, working with a few dairies back there, and
that's where
I
my
got
uncle's dairy farm is.
Oh,
sorry,
what part of
I got really excited. I can't remember. I can't remember the name. Middlebury. It's Middlebury Co-op. He runs a co-op.
Middlebury Co-op. Okay, yeah, we were living right outside Lancaster in Manheim. So right in Amish country. It was a nice place to live for about a year. But out of the blue, I got a call from Tim and Dane, or I should say Tim at Rose Hill, who has a dairy operation up in Logan. They've been bottled milk up there for about 30 years. I'd always worked with them a lot in the past when I had Boise milk. Like if we had machinery problems, we'd get milk from them. If we needed some extra bottles, they'd have them. Just always bouncing ideas back and forth because they were down here competing against Winder Farms. And he gave me a call out of the blue and he said, "Hey, did you hear Winder Farms shut down?" And I had no idea. I mean, they've been shut down for 6 months and I had no idea because I was that far removed from the market. And he's like, always enjoyed working with you. We're just too busy up here because they run from North Salt Lake all the way up. They deliver from North Salt Lake all the way up to, I think, Tremonton. And they said, Salt Lake has no home delivery service right now. We'd love to do it. We're just too busy. We'd love to sell you milk and you can deliver it down in the valley. So we talked about 3 or 4 phone calls, sent back and forth emails, figured out something that worked for both of us. And about 2 months later, I'm back here in Salt Lake.
That's awesome.
So you weren't even living here yet and you were putting this together, it sounds like.
It sounds like there was a need and you were the one person to come along and fill the role.
Yeah, well, they saw what I'd done in Boise, and it's a lot of hard work, and it's also I'm not reinventing the wheel from the ground up. I take what I learned in Boise, I take what I learned in Spokane, and I kind of see what worked the best, what made customers the most happy, and kind of adapted it to here. So this is actually my third go around. So there's a little bit of a learning curve, but I've kind of figured out a lot of the ins and outs, so to speak. So it's been a lot more fluid out here. Yeah. I mean, like we delivered about 800 homes a week right now. Back in April, we started out with 40 deliveries a week, and I could have never managed that kind of growth if I didn't have the experience. But since I have that previous experience, I've been able to scale up a lot quicker. I mean, we've already changed warehouses 3 times and coolers 3 times. Started out with like a little tiny cooler, outgrew it, started a bigger cooler, outgrew it. Now we're in our new cooler, which should be pretty good for quite a while.
Talk about this, the bottling plant. You said you bought a bottling plant, but no cows. So how does that work? Like so you buy the milk from a farmer and then you bring it to your bottling plant? Is that how
correct?
It
that
works,
was back when I had Boise milk. So back when I had Boise milk, we had a contract. We bought I actually bought the plant from a company called Stoker's Dairy, and they've been in business for about 50 years, and they ran into financial hardship. So they called me and said, "Hey, we're shutting down," and I said, "Well, I'd rather not have you shut down." So I worked with them and some of their creditors, and we were able to reach a deal where if I helped pay off a portion of the debt, I could take over the plant. So I took over the plant from there.
Wow.
Yeah. So
is that kind of still how you operate then? You just have the bottling plant and then you get your milk from an outside source then?
No, that's what I did in Boise. Here, I basically just buy milk from Rose Hill and take it down from Logan and bring it down here and sell it. I'm more of a distributor right now. Yeah, and our interest lies. I did enjoy bottling milk and having a milk plant, but our interest now is more in just providing the best products to customers and maybe eventually expanding into some areas of production that wouldn't be milk related because Rose Hill does a great job by us. And, we got great products from them. So we're more interested in maybe doing some other type of products for home delivery.
So do you currently do anything besides milk or is it just milk?
We have about 100 products. Every single one of our products is local. For one thing, Rose Hill does cheese. They do orange juice, sour cream. We also sell any kind like butter, buttermilk. We have about 5 different types of breads right now. Mm-hmm. We sell eggs. We sell meat. We sell granola, we sell bagels, we sell
savory and sweet pies.
We sell a lot
family
of pies.
meals. We sell so many pies.
Yeah.
That's cool. I see a lot of familiar things on your website, like people that we've seen at farmers markets and stuff. And that's really cool. So like, how does this work? If somebody wants to sign up and get stuff delivered from you guys, what's the process for them?
Super easy. All you have to do is go online. You click the sign up now form. You fill out your information. We get that information. We put you on a route, and typically within 24 hours, as long as our inventories are good, we can get you out milk to your house that quick.
That's so cool. Milk and pies.
I was curious how many employees you had, if it was just the two of you or if it was a bunch.
It's just the two of us in the office. We handle all customer service. We're probably good to handle all customer service ourselves. I'd say for probably about another 1,000 customers. We do have 3 delivery drivers. So our delivery drivers, they come in about 10:30 p.m. at night, start loading their trucks. They're on the road by about midnight, and they're delivering between midnight and 8 a.m. So they usually deliver about 100 deliveries a night each, 4 days a week.
So back to the delivery. I had a few more questions about this delivery process just for our listeners, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that have never heard of you guys and familiar with what you do and how it works, including myself. So, I mean, how many times a week would you deliver to a person? Just once a week, or could you do it multiple times a week, or how does that work?
So we deliver once a week to houses. We don't currently have the logistics, nor is it, he tried it in Boise, but it wasn't really like logistically feasible to do a like bi-weekly delivery. We do have the option where you can customize your delivery. And if you don't drink that much milk, you can have every other week delivery. You know, we keep things pretty customer centric, so to speak. You know, we try to make our customers happy. We have a 100% customer satisfaction guarantee that we stand behind. And essentially how it works is if you're on our Thursday route, every Thursday we'll show up for delivery unless you put a, vacation hold or something on your account.
Yeah. And one thing I've been surprised about, the milk industry is generally, milk consumption is going down in general. We have a surprising amount of customers that get weekly delivery and they don't get any kind of dairy products from us. So, dairy products are only about 30% of what we sell. I mean, we have people that just get bagels. We have people that just get salsa. We have people that get, about 5 or 6 things they might get that aren't even dairy related. So while we are Wasatch Milk, we do sell just a lot more. We sell a lot more than milk.
You're like a farmer's market on wheels.
Yeah, that's what we kind of do. All the vendors that I've connected with, that we work with, I'm proud to say that you can't find them in the store. I would say, generally speaking, about 98% of our products are unattainable in like a basic brick and mortar store, or you have to go to like a weekly farmer's market, which, as many people know, especially in this area, when it gets really cold, is very seasonal. But, we're every week, every month, all year long.
And a lot of the times where we find our vendors is we actually just go on the ground to the farmers markets.
Oh, and that's kind of how you source things?
Yeah. Every other Saturday, we're down at a farmers market, kind of looking, talking to people, seeing what they have to offer. I mean, we went to the farmers market last Saturday. We've been looking for a good source for totally pasture-raised local eggs. That's been one of our biggest customer. We sell fine eggs from Oakdale, but what we're looking for is a small farm where the hens can run around, where you can get those really vibrant orange yolks. And we actually found a really good outfit up in Vernal we're going to be working with. Now the problem is they're a little smaller, so they're gonna start increasing their production for next spring. So we're excited to announce next spring we're gonna have like totally free range, open sky eggs. From Happy Hens.
They're also working on putting us together a program to get us non-frozen, totally grass-fed, pasture-raised turkeys for the next 2021 holiday season.
Yeah, we also work with a lot of local farmers. I mean, in this case, the farmer's making a good living, but we just both saw an opportunity. They wanted to expand. Their son had just came home and wanted to be part of the farming operation, so it worked out. With the added sales of eggs, their son can now work on the farm. So we like to work with any farmers and try to meet their needs, meet our needs, get our customers great products. So that's what I enjoy the most about this business. When you can, when both parties can put in the work and create a demand for a product that wasn't there, and it helps support a local farm.
What I was going to bring up, though, too, is we have a lot of listeners that have their own food businesses. So I'm trying to connect them with you guys. I'm wondering what's the best way to do that? We chat with a lot of local businesses that make their own foods, make their own products that would be perfect for you guys. How does that work for them to reach out to you? Do they send you guys samples or what?
So typically how we do it, so I'm in charge of most of the vendor relationships. That's probably a good chunk of my job, trying to build up the products that customers want. And a lot of times the vendors that we get, other than just the groundwork that we do at farmers markets, are vendors that, our customers are asking for. Morgan Valley Lamb, for instance, is a vendor that we're working on bringing on. They do grass-fed lamb, and they also have an outfit of grass-fed beef that we were highly recommended from several of our current customers that we have. And they're just like, this is what we want. And we're like, cool, send them off our way. And we're happy to review any and all businesses that, want a potential partnership. And all they basically have to do is send us an email, our service@wasatchmilk.com email. And we're happy to see what products they offer, if it's something that would easily fit into our deliveries. There are a few logistical considerations with products that are harder to deliver and vice versa, since we do deliver overnight. But generally speaking, if a business reaches out to us, we're more than happy to see if it'll work, see if the pricing works. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, with pricing, generally, if you look at our products, you can find products for less money for sure. But we try to always be what you would at least see at a grocery store, like a local grocery store, for high quality products. So when we carry a product, first of all, we look at the quality of it, and we make sure, first of all, we look if it's local or not. If it's not local, we won't carry it. So we make sure it's local, and then we look at the quality. Generally, our customers are not necessarily price sensitive. They're not looking for, the absolute lowest priced on a product, but they are very value oriented. So, when we price a product, it's got to be a good value for the customer. We've had a few products we've carried where the price was a little too high and people didn't see the value in it. So we've kind of adapted. But if I could put a shout out to anybody right now, vendors we're looking for, I think there's a big demand right now for pre-made kind of heat and prepare meals. So we're kind of keeping an eye out for any restaurant. They need to be packaged so we could deliver them and they'd stay well enough that they'd be cooked, 2 or 3 days later. But I just think a lot of families, with restaurants closed and people on the go still, people working, they still have a big demand for a pre-made, easy heat and serve kind of meal. So yeah, I imagine you probably have quite a substantial restaurant clientele that listen to your base. So they're welcome to reach out to us, and we can see if it'll work.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. I know there's some companies that specifically just do that, but I don't know if they have delivery options. So we should figure out how to connect everybody. That would be cool.
Oh, I was going to say, we don't charge any extra delivery fees. It's just they sell us the product at a set price, and then we take a small markup and deliver it. So it's basically just a really easy transaction for them. They just invoice us for the amount they delivered, and we pay bills every Friday, so it's a pretty quick payment too. So.
Hey, we don't have any sponsors for this episode, but I just wanted to take a couple of minutes and tell you about a podcast class that I'm going to be teaching starting the end of October. And I figured this was the perfect moment to tell you all about it, because this is the perfect course for you if you've ever wanted to start a podcast. So what I've done is I've created this course to show the beginner podcaster everything that they'll need to record, they'll need to edit, publish, and grow their very own podcast. You're going to want to join us to learn the entire process of creating a podcast from idea to launch. You're going to learn how to choose subject matter, what equipment you need to create a quality podcast, how to record, how to edit, how to find sponsors, and how to publish your podcast to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Stitcher, and all the other audio outlets. Now you don't have to piece together all the information off the internet. You don't have to throw all the money into outdated podcasting books or wasting money on the wrong podcast equipment. Somebody like myself, I know it because I've spent a lot of unneeded money on podcast equipment that I could have easily avoided if I figured out the right people to listen to. So if you've ever wanted to start your own podcast, this is the class for you. You're going to want to be part of this. This is a class that's hosted by the University of Utah, part of the Lifelong Learning Series. But you do not need to be a student of the University of Utah to take this class. Everybody is invited. So what you're going to want to do is type in iamsaltlake.com/podcast class. Type that into your web browser. It's going to forward you over to the Lifelong Learning Center website where you can register for the class. Let me tell you what, the price of this class is unbelievable. They priced it way too cheap. So if you've ever wanted to learn podcasting, now is the time to do it, because you're not going to see a price this cheap if I do classes in the future. So again, type in iamsaltlake.com/podcast class into your web browser. Sign up for this podcast class. It's going to be 4 weeks, starts the end of October, goes the end of October, and then like the first 3 weeks in November. I want to see you in the class. Let me know you're a listener of the podcast if you take the class, and we'll see you at the end of October. Thanks, guys. You were mentioning, kind of how, restaurants are closed, for this idea, like for a place to contact you and but people are still on the go, blah, blah, blah. So it made me think, we're talking to a lot of businesses that have got affected recently by COVID, whether that's something shutting down or them losing business or just something else they've noticed. Have you guys noticed any kind of difference with COVID? Has that affected your business at all? Any complications?
Complications, there's been a few. I mean, added precautions, we got to make sure our drivers are sanitizing. They don't come with a fever. It's just a coincidence that we happened to start. We were actually planning on starting in April back in November of last year. So yeah. It's a random coincidence that COVID hit at the same time. It's actually helped us to a certain extent because there were a lot of people that didn't want to go to the grocery store. And it helped bump us up pretty quick because we got a lot of people like, man, this is such a great service. I don't want to go to the grocery store, but when the other shoe drops for that, when things kind of return back to normal, which they are a little bit more every day, I believe. I mean, it's going to be, the thing is, are we going to lose some of those customers because they want to go back to the grocery store? Our service is great. Our products are great, but there's a lot of, there's grocery stores in every corner we're competing against. So,
right. But the thing that's really
the other
cool,
shoe might drop. But yeah, I'm kind of trying to build that stable of high quality products so they have more of a reason.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, you guys really are an amazing thing for people like Chris and I, who we haven't been able to get out as much, obviously. And we used to go to the farmer's market every week in the summer. And, this year's been a lot harder. We haven't even made it once. And so we really miss the custom, locally sourced food, but we haven't been able to get there. And like, you are perfect. You're the perfect opportunity to like bring us the stuff that we really want. You can't even get at a grocery store. So I feel like you're not even competing that much, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to say that in terms of like the vendor relationships that we're building, that we've already built, the nice thing is, compared to like your traditional deliveries with your traditional stores, like a Harmon's or something, we are 100% local. And we're those, products that if you want to get really good Gosner cheese, unless you want to make the huff up to Logan, it's really, you can't really find it anywhere. Or like, we just partnered with the Bagel Den down in Heber City. And if you want a good New York style bagel, other than flying to New York or, making the trek all the way down to Heber City, just get them from us.
Yeah.
So we
love it.
We really pride ourselves on the local, the value and the convenience, and being able to pass that on to other people in the area that, some of these products they may never have heard of, and you're supporting local business, but through us, you're supporting other local business. So it's just kind of like everyone's helping out each other.
Yeah.
How do you guys prevent theft? I mean, that's the first thing that pops into my head too, is like, if you're dropping stuff on people's doorstep at like 2 a.m, I mean, they're probably sleeping. And so that food's going to sit there for a little while. Who's to say somebody might not steal it?
It has happened. I think so far we've had 3 deliveries unaccounted for out of, I'd say about the 15, 20,000 we made.
Yeah.
So what we do is, it does happen, but when it does happen, we usually generally advise the customers to put the cooler like on their back porch, and we can deliver to the back porch. Or, sometimes they just do need to cancel service, and other times they just come grab it a little bit quicker. So,
so they set a cooler out.
Yeah, it's in a cooler, or we sell milk boxes, little metal milk boxes. We put the products in. We leave it up to the customer what they want to do.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not too big of an issue, but it does happen very seldomly from time to time. And then, we help the customer. We'll redeliver the products to the customer so they can have their order. And then, it's kind of up to the customer what they want to do from there.
And that's kind of what I was curious. It's probably a given that you guys take requests of like places. When you mentioned, you could leave it in the backyard or something like that. I mean, obviously there's special requests if there's a more discreet place to leave it or whatnot. And then the coolers. Okay. I didn't know if you guys had coolers or not. So that's good to know you guys do that.
There's a lot of aspects you have to think about when delivering.
Yeah. We have little metal milk boxes people can order, or they're welcome to set out their own cooler. And we'll put all their products in the cooler. It helps maintain the temperature, especially during the summer and in the winter. So, the winter, the milk can freeze. So, keeps the products about the right temp.
Yeah, we even deliver all the way out to Park City, and we have people that, they give us notes to move their cooler into X location because of animals. So,
yeah, that's a bigger problem. Bread gets eaten by
animals.
Huh.
Yeah, I can see that being a problem.
What is your delivery area? You mentioned Park City. How far south? How far north? How far west?
We go from North Salt Lake down to Bluffsdale. So basically the whole corridor. And then we go from Magna up to Park City. And then we are actually looking at expanding into Tooele and also potentially Heber City. But at this time, we're just we're building a list of people that want to sign up. Once we hit a magic number on our end, we'll start delivering there.
Yeah. If you have listeners that are in those areas, just have them sign up. How it basically works is we keep a list. So once you sign up, you're on a wait list. And then once we have our required number of customers to logistically deliver there, then we, within a week, would send out an email saying, hey, we're ready to go. If you're still interested in delivery, we can keep your account activated and you'll start getting delivery on this day.
And there's for anyone who's curious, they can go to your website and you have actually a map of the delivery area and an FAQ with the delivery process and how it works. And it's really well plotted out for people. So I'd say go check out the website.
Samantha's our web developer here, so she did that. And yeah, depending on what area you're in, determines your delivery morning, and we deliver by 8 a.m. So, for example, Tuesday's Park City, Wednesday's North Salt Lake, Thursday's kind of Murray area. Friday, we're down by Harriman, down in the southern part of the valley.
What do you guys know now that you wished you would have known when you started all this?
I think that'd be more Samantha's question, because I already knew a lot about what was going to happen when we did this. So she's kind of newer to it. I've been doing this for 15 years, so I'm about where I expected to be.
What would I have known now?
Yeah, like what do you know? What is something you're like, gosh, I wish I would have known this when I started. It would have made the whole thing easier.
How hard it is to work with your spouse?
Oh my God.
There you go. Okay, I'm curious. How is that working out?
The struggle is real.
Yeah.
Oh, it's real. It's so real. It's different because we come from two totally different backgrounds. Like, he knows the milk business, but my background is in business. And so, like, my marketing and media background and all of that is a little bit different than his original strategy that he had in Boise. And I think just learning to adapt to the times has been, something that I push pretty hard for, and that he sometimes lets me have.
So that must be hard, though, because you kind of have this baby. This is exactly what happened with Chris and I. Like, Chris had been doing this podcast for 4 years, and then I came along, and I'm like pushing and trying to do this and stick this in here. And it's really a challenging thing to start sharing creative processes when you've already established something, too.
Yeah, no, I've had to definitely try to loosen up, sometimes successfully, sometimes not, because I have a very set vision based on my past experience. And
Right.
I've had to step back a few times and appreciate what Samantha can bring to the table and accept some of her changes, which are generally for the better. So, it's it's a strange dynamic. There's been a few heated moments, but overall, I think we're both pretty level-headed. We can come to an agreement, over time.
Oh, yeah. And if you don't have those heated agreements, you're not getting to the right conclusion in the end, I think.
Yeah. We can bury the hatchet relatively quick. So I think it's always a stressful thing working with a spouse, but I think we're managing, and every day we just try to get a little bit better and try to be more understanding and kind of get on the same page. And it's a struggle.
What's your long-term vision with Wasatch Milk here? Like where do you see this in the next 3 to 5 years?
3 to 5 years. What do you see, Samantha?
In 3 to 5 years, I'd like to be at about 10,000 customers. It'd be nice to be down in Heber, maybe south, more of the southern corridor, like by American Fork, taking over the, Tooele, Stansbury Park area, and just keep growing, densifying, getting to, instead of just having one house in a neighborhood, have like 50 houses in a neighborhood would be really nice.
Yeah, back when I was in Boise, we had a lot more density. So it was not uncommon for us to park a truck and deliver to 2 or even 3 houses without even moving the truck, like literally next door neighbors and across the street. So that's been our biggest struggle, because with the milk delivery business, it's all about density. So, it only takes 2 or 3 minutes to pull an order. But if you're driving 5 or 6 minutes between stops, you can't deliver as many stops in a night. If you're driving an average of 2 or 3 minutes a stop, all of a sudden you're delivering twice as much product. And, I'd like to see us carrying a few more hundred types, not 100 types, but like a few hundred more local products that people really like is another thing I'd like to see us doing. So, kind of expanding into more areas. We're going to get a little bit bigger into the meat category, specialty baked breads like baguettes. We have some plans there. Also produce, local produce when we can find some good vendors when it's in season. So we definitely have a lot of ideas we're working on, and it's just taking a little bit of time to implement. Another part is if you don't have the customers, for produce, you need a lot of customers because produce is very fickle. You can have a great orange one day and the next day, all of a sudden it's not good. So you have to have good rotation, good quantity in order to keep your produce fresh. So that's one of the things we're working for in the near term.
Just keep plugging away. I mean, it sounds like you've done good for even the short amount of time that you've been doing it here in the Salt Lake area. So, yeah. I mean, hopefully even chit-chatting today will bring a few new customers on, a few new listeners that will want their milk or bread or whatnot delivered to their homes from you guys. Let's switch directions to Salt Lake City. We have a few standard Salt Lake City related questions we ask on every show here. Of course, we got to ask you guys. We have family and friends that visit the area, right? They come visit us. They are like, hey, show us around, show us some of your favorite spots. Maybe it's a hike, the Great Salt Lake, a library, the downtown. I don't know where it is.
All good ideas.
I don't know if you have 1 or 2 favorite places to take people when they come to town.
I would say probably Donut Falls is up there. I kind of like that hike.
That's a good hike.
Donut Falls.
That was a good hike. I mean, we have one watering hole that we tend to go to. I would say I don't know much about the Salt Lake area. I always end up in Park City.
No, we go up to Park City every once in a while. I mean, my dad lives up in Park City, so we visit him. He's actually got a birthday coming up in a couple days, so we're going to go up there and give him a cake and have a little birthday party. Lagoon's always a good place if you have kids. Things are a little bit different with COVID. I mean, it's kind of hard to recommend some things, or, you got to use your precautions, but
sure.
Yeah, Salt Lake's generally, there's just a lot to do in Salt Lake. I mean, growing up in Idle Falls, this is where we'd always come for the city fun.
It's funny. So my sister lived in Montpelier for years. And whenever I'd go up to visit her, we'd be like, we'd hang out for a while, and then she'd come downstairs and go, shave your legs, Chrissy. We're going to Logan. Like, it was like this. We're going across the border. It was always the joke. Like,
Bear Lake. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The outlets down at Kimball Junction, it's different than a mall, but it's fun to hang out there down over wherever that is.
Kimball Junction.
Yeah. Is that what it's called?
What about, do you have like 1 or 2 favorite local eating spots?
I really like just generally any sushi places. We do sushi. We eat sushi quite a bit. So
yeah,
I'm trying to think. I can't remember the name of it. There's one in downtown Salt Lake that's pretty darn good.
I don't remember the name of it.
Tsunami?
Yeah, I can't.
It doesn't matter.
They're all good.
Yeah, there's a couple of good Brazilian buffet places here.
Mm-hmm. The one that I found, the Ethiopian restaurant here, is really good. I think it's literally just called Ethiopian restaurant. I don't think it has a special name to it. Handles is always good. I enjoy going to Handles.
Handles is good.
Oh, yeah.
If you guys could change one or two things about the area, what would you change?
Well, I'd say Salt Lake really loves its road construction. And as a delivery driver, it's especially obvious to me, especially when we're delivering at night, because I don't know how often the exit from I-215 south onto I-15 has been closed, but the roads are generally in great condition here, as good as Boise, a lot better than Spokane. It's just Salt Lake has a lot of road construction, and it seems like the projects take quite a while. So I'm not sure about. I'm not a road construction, or I don't work on road construction, so I don't know. But probably if they could do that a little quicker.
I wish they had a more direct route into Park City. I think it would take half the amount of time to get there.
Yeah.
Or if they build a big tunnel to Tooele.
Or something.
Yeah. I just think from a milk, I'm delivering out there 40 hours a week. So.
I am so excited that we brought you guys on the podcast. I'm so glad I reached out to you two.
I know, this has
to
been
find
really
out
cool.
more about Wasatch Milk. I mean, was there anything before we wrap this up? Was there anything that you were hoping we would talk about that we didn't get the opportunity to bring up during this little time? I mean, I know there's so much more we could talk about, but it's to just skim the surface today. But I just wonder if there's anything else you wanted to make sure we talked about.
No, but we would have an offer for any of your listeners. If they do sign up, they can put the name of your podcast in, and we'll give them 20% off their orders for their first 2 deliveries, kind of to try it out. We find the best way to see if our service works for you is to try it out. If you don't enjoy your products, you're not absolutely satisfied with them, we give you a 100% satisfaction guarantee. So you don't pay for anything you don't think is a good value. So
Very
20%
cool.
off for first 2 weeks.
Any spaces in the name, or just all one word? I am Salt Lake then, or
just it'll say who are you referred by, and you can put I am Salt Lake.
I got you. I didn't know if it was like a promo code or.
Yeah, we'll automatically apply the discount when they sign up.
Oh, very cool. And that's the website is just wasatchmilk.com. We'll put that at iamsaltlake.com too, with this web episode show notes too, if you didn't get that down. Now, are you guys on Facebook and Instagram and all that too, or?
Yeah, so we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, at Wasatch Milk. We also have a Yelp page, a Google page.
Yep.
5 stars on all of them.
Yeah, we're really big on customer service. Like I say, anytime anybody ever has any kind of issue with our products or our service, we're not perfect. We do make mistakes. We had a new driver starting. We're constantly growing. We're growing at a rapid clip. So mistakes do happen, but we are always happy to either reimburse any customers for any mistakes we make, or we're not above driving 30 minutes south to deliver a half gallon of milk that wasn't delivered and then driving back. So
I'd say about 5% of our customers too have either my or his personal cell phone number and call us every once in a while.
Yeah.
Where's
That's
my
awesome.
milk at?
Hopefully you guys get big enough that not everybody will have your phone number. That's the goal, right? But for now.
I would say hopefully we get perfect enough that people have our phone number but don't need to contact us for any kind of incidents. I'm always happy to talk to customers.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yep. We can always improve. We can always get better, and we're always improving and always getting better the best we can. So that's what we can offer. And if we do make a mistake or an error, 100% satisfaction, we will get it corrected. And we always respond to customers promptly. We answer emails. We're checking emails every 5 minutes every day. We're sometimes in the office, but usually not to answer phone calls. But if we get a voicemail, we try to respond within about 10, 15 minutes.
Very cool. Chrissy asks a final question before we leave you guys. I'm going to let her ask a final question here. It's been so awesome having both of you on the show. Thank you so much. I can't urge our listeners enough to go check out all the products you guys offer. I think they'll be pleasantly surprised. I know I was. When I looked on the site, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous that I haven't been using these guys for months now.
That was my first thought. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to use this now.
Yeah.
Now that I know it exists, I can't live without it.
So
no, we absolutely appreciate the opportunity. So we're grateful. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. So before we let you go, can you leave our listeners with a motto or piece of life advice? No pressure.
Am I qualified to give life advice?
Support your local cows and businesses.
Yeah. Local businesses are hurt right now. There's anytime you can support a local business, it helps a local family, helps their local employees. So if a local company has a great product, just if it works for you, try to buy it.
Thanks again to Anthony and Samantha Stolworthy for joining us on this episode of the podcast. All the links that we mentioned in this conversation can be found with this episode show notes on our podcast website, which is at iamsaltlake.com/449 for episode 449.
And it is weekly recommendation time.
Oh, it sure is.
I'm actually excited for your weekly recommendation this week, Chrissy. I saw it here pop up on my computer where for your recommendation. I'm like, oh my gosh, of course.
You're like,
what a
she
great
won't
recommendation.
shut up about it.
But if you're new here or if you haven't listened this far in the podcast in the past, every week, Chrissy and I, we give a recommendation, something that we enjoy or something that we've been enjoying this past week or so on and so forth. And go ahead with your recommendation, Chrissy.
Oh my gosh. My recommendation is Rocky Horror Picture Show.
What a great movie.
Oh, I love it
or
so
film.
much. It's whatever artistic name you want to call it. But I get a little bit like crazy and obsessed with musicals, and I'll get stuck on one for a while. And right now I'm going through my second or third Rocky Horror Picture Show phase, and you guys have been amazing. My whole family has been so patient because it is literally the only thing I'm listening to right now, and I'm constantly singing it all over the house.
Hey, but it's one I can get behind. It's one that I'll support it, man.
It's not wicked. That one's a little bit more annoying. I mean, for other people, but yeah.
In my recommendation, my weekly recommendation, I don't know if I've mentioned this one before or recommended it. I probably have, but I'm going to recommend it again because it's that good of a television show, that 70s show. So one thing, Chrissy and I, we decided, because we got to the point where we were having a hard time finding new things on Netflix or Prime or Hulu.
Yeah, everything
to watch, right?
There's just so much stuff that none of it's good.
Such problems that we deal with in living in this day and age, right? Nothing
Life
to find online. We have all these movies and films on our fingertips. Anyway, we decided to start at the beginning of that 70s show, right? At episode 1. Season 1 of that 70s show, and we're working all the way through. I think there's 8 seasons.
Probably.
We're going to work through those, and I think we're in like the end of season 3 now, so we're watching them sequentially. And
I regret nothing.
Yeah.
I will watch it over and over forever.
If you haven't watched that 70s show, please watch it. I mean, it's been a while since it's been on TV, so I'm surprised you haven't watched it. But if it's been a while, go revisit them.
It's so funny. Yeah. It's so clever. Hey, did you ever watch that 80s show?
No.
I never did either, but I kind of am curious. No. Maybe it sucks. Who knows?
Yeah, probably.
Call the voicemail and let us know if you've listened to that 80s show.
Yeah, hey, our voicemail number is 801-613-1592. Text or call us whenever, We
want to hear your beautiful voices.
Yeah, we mentioned it at the beginning of the podcast that we're trying to get this voicemail going again, and we'd love to hear from you.
It doesn't have to be about local. Just share you with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. But before we leave you guys today, we want to mention our website, iamsaltlake.com. This is where you can go and dig through the entire back catalog of episodes and listen to some that maybe you've missed. Also, we're always looking for good suggestions and ideas for the podcast, so please send those to hello@iamsaltlake.com, or you can call our voicemail and let us know.
All right, guys, have a great week. Get out and enjoy the city. It's going to be beautiful this week. Support local, especially right now. Those local businesses could really use our help. And we're going to see you next week on the next episode of I Am Salt Lake Podcast.
And good night, Grammy.